tell by looking at the bearings.
All right, Jim, we're looking at your crankshaft here, and here's Marty, the crank specialist. Jim had the all these journals. These are all hard chromed.
Okay, yeah, I could see the haze in the corners. That's kind of what it looked like.
Right, right.
So I guess they brought it back to a standard size then if they did that.
I believe it's standard. I believe I looked on the back and it says standard. But what we're looking at is the uneven wear across here. You can see it's got marks. We're contact here, no contact there. And then in this bearing, we're into the copper, which should not happen except after what, maybe 100,000 miles or something?
Yeah, you'd think. Well, it should never get there, I don't think. I mean, I've pulled engines down with 200,000 that just look pretty and gray, but...
Yeah. Well, my F-150, you saw them.
Oh, yeah.
They're just like brand new. You can almost reuse them. So here's the specs on standard, and I mean, here's some...
This ain't going to work then.
Well...
Okay. I had the 230 numbers on my in my head.
Yeah. Yeah, you need the 2 to 3. Yeah. You need a water?
No, I'm good.
Okay.
Yeah, I just finished dinner.
Okay. Well, I'm just worried about this thing being tapered, or like you say, you think there's not enough clearance maybe.
That's what I'm kind of looking at, just the way it looks like it's wiping the bearings.
Okay, yeah.
That's so uneven.
Right.
I mean, I've had a lot of cranks chromed, and you know, you can do it right and you can do it wrong.
Yeah.
What did we say? 754. I obviously have the wrong glasses.
I got plenty to choose from if you need anything. I got them up to 3 power.
Now, notice these mics are new, or have you checked them with a standard? And
No.
Okay.
Just right out of the box. I got. Let's see. I don't think I've got. Yeah, I got. There's the standards are there if you want to double check them.
Yeah, if you're looking at size to size, it's at half thousandths over the top.
Mm-hmm.
Now this one's not, so
Nope.
that's sad. And this one's smaller yet.
Hmm.
Not a quality job as far as I can say.
Yeah.
2045.7. See, I'm wondering how far under it was before they chromed it is the next question.
Right. How much buildup there is on there?
Well, yeah, I mean...
If a person dresses it down, is it going to go into them?
Yeah, that's the thing. Is you gonna, if you grind it, is it going to be half into the chrome and half not?
Right.
Now, all the rods are different sizes as well. They're not horrible, but you're not getting the same feel out of all of them, or any of them.
Right.
None of them are feeling like the same size. I mean, that won't even go over.
Yeah. Just hangs up.
Mm-mm-mm.
A lot of variability.
Yes, and with the way I'm seeing the sizes, I'm guessing if the same people did the whole job, then you're probably going to have housing boards that aren't round, as well as the journals being big. I mean, the journals being oversized.
Right. Right.
So, like I say, that's what I see here, is there's not enough clearance.
Yeah. Yeah.
And wow, that must have been the backside.
It was, and it had so few miles on it. It was like it was making full contact all the time.
Wow, that's a lot of clearance.
Yeah, but it doesn't make sense, because unless it's not ground right and it was sitting in the
Wow, yeah.
sitting in the block, correct?
There's nothing fancy about it, and it just bothers me. Like I said, being chrome now.
Yeah, yeah.
What do we have underneath the chrome?
Right,
Is it thick and thin?
right.
I mean, we used to send our stuff to a crankshaft specialist in Memphis
I remember
because Floyd he had actually set their chroming system up for them when he worked for Storm Vulcan. He knew the guys, and they told him he was the only one in the United States that they would let ship them a crank, and they would chrome it and ship it back without grinding it.
Wow.
He said, anybody else, we're going to grind it before it goes back.
Yeah.
We had a guy, I don't remember the crank now, but we had a local guy do it. And the chroming process, it sits in the chromic acid,
Yeah.
and it has deals that sit on the journals, and that's what magnetizes it and makes the chrome stick.
Yeah.
But
They
it's
got to rotate
supposed
it.
to be turning the whole time.
Sure, to get uniformity.
This guy out here,
Yeah.
and
Was that lane plating?
lane plating.
Sure,
Yes.
yeah.
Horrible.
Oh,
Horrible job.
They
Don't turn them. They don't turn their stuff. So
Right.
we had one side that had 125,000 chrome, and the other side wouldn't even clean up at standard.
Yeah.
So yeah, we
Right.
we ended up having to do that twice, and it was just a horrible job.
I remember those guys. They were something
Lane
else.
plating.
Yeah.
You're right. Yeah.
Well, it's now a super fun cleanup site.
Oh, is it?
Yeah. They all that stuff they just dumped in the backyard, and it's the
Oh, well, yeah, I bet.
feds are after them.
Because there's some serious bad stuff in the chroming process.
Nasty.
That's for sure.
Well, I'll see if you can find out what the history is on it, how much they laid on there, because if there's enough, a person could grind it to first under, and we'd still be good. But
If it was put on evenly,
exactly.
if it was ground evenly.
Right.
See, what bothers me is if they chromed it,
Mm-hmm.
that meant they probably were already at 30 and couldn't get any 40 bearings. So to me, and from what I understood from Floyd and the guys at Crankshaft, that's way too much chrome to put on one. You're
Right.
not supposed to have chrome that thick because it's going to try to come loose.
Sure.
Usually we would do something like if we were doing a nice crank, we'd cut it to 20 under
Mm-hmm.
or 15 under, send it up there and have it chrome. So now you had a standard grind, and if something happened, you could go to 10.
Yeah.
And you still had a 5,000 chrome or 2,500 chrome
Right.
journal there.
Right.
But you had to know where you were starting from.
Right.
So
Exactly. Well, I'll see if I can find out what's going on. But they could not have, even if you went to the fourth undersize, they could not have put that much chrome on there. And there's no reason why a person couldn't go third or fourth undersize, because this engine will not have that many miles on it that they ever have to worry about
yeah.
it.
I was just looking to see if anybody had stamped a 10 or a 30 or a 40 or anything on it over the years, and I don't see anything like that.
Yeah, which is unfortunate. Usually at least put a paint mark on it or something.
And there, look at the chrome flash here went too high.
Yeah, it's pretty weird. But that's just
Well, what they do that I know of is they mash the journals off,
right,
and then
Right.
they dip it in wax,
right.
and then they take the masking off. And so somebody didn't have it done well. That's why it flashed up there. The
Exactly.
wax was too thin, or it came off, or it wasn't ever there.
Yeah, exactly.
It doesn't hurt anything. It's just
Just an indication of what they were doing.
it just looks like another indication of a crummy job.
Right. Well, okay. I'll see if
So-
I can get some more information. 'Cause,
I would really be, like I said, I'd really be looking at my housing boards as well. You know, the rods,
Sure.
checking them, checking the mains to make sure what you're looking at totally.
Yeah.
Because you know, you can have a perfect crank, and if your housing boards are crappy, there you go.
Exactly. Right. Well, fortunately, we can get that. I can check that without too much trouble because we got the block over
Yeah.
on the side of the room to be cleaned up, and I can check the housing boards, no problem. But those little 4 cylinders converted from diesel to gas. They're very stout. They seldom need
Oh, yeah.
any attention.
Well, at least the anvils seem to be pretty true on them.
Oh, that's good.
Sometimes you'll see these, and they'll just walk to one side every time you move it
Yeah.
because the anvils aren't in line.
Right. They didn't miss it too much.
Couple of tenths is all that it's off. Really, it's not that bad.
Okay. Well,
Of course, the longer I sit here and hold it, then the mic grows. You saw that fall out in my hands.
yeah. Well, for comparative purposes, it'll
Yes.
suit our needs certainly.
Well, sure.
But,
And plus, like I said, none of them are the same size, so that's already a.
Didn't matter. Yeah. All right. Well, I'm going to see if there's anything else we need to worry about in terms of. I was gonna. Not in terms of this crankshaft. He's gonna have Gary sleeve it down to standard. The block and take care of that. Okay.
See, the next thing in it is it has no radius left in it.
Yeah.
I mean,
Right. I mean, it's just a
any,
sharp.
any radius that you're going to put back in. I mean, when you can feel it with your nail, that's already a.
Yeah.
It's like a little, like somebody stamped in their brake here.
Yeah. Exactly. Yeah.
And now, I mean, you can't put a radius back in it because it's not going to be a radius of the original crank. It's going to be a radius of chrome.
Right. Right.
So it's never going to be a good crank from here on out because the radius is gone.
Yeah.
We all know that's the strength of a crank.
Right.
Any crank.
Yeah. Well, it's unfortunate.
Yes, I mean that's the sad part of my industry is that I call them criminals. There's a lot of criminals operating machine shops that have no business being there.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I'm not trying to pat myself on the back. I'm just saying
Yeah.
most of us care. There's too many out there that see it's an easy way to make money.
Yeah.
And it just
Yeah.
don't get me started on that.
Right.
I just because I want to choke the shit out of people
Yeah.
when I see that going on.
It's a Dean Bailey crankshaft.
Oh, is it?
No, I'm
Oh.
just kidding.
Wouldn't surprise me.
Oh, Christ. Okay. Well, so is there any salvaging this thing? Even if you grind it down to a decent, get everything straight, like you say, we still don't have a radius.
Yeah, the radius has been chopped out of it.
Yeah.
I mean, there's a little bit there, but I just finished. Look at the radius here and pop that open. And look at the radius in that crank. It was a standard crank when I started on it,
Yeah.
and
Oh,
look at the radius is
well,
there.
you can see it right from here.
Yeah, I mean, it's obvious when the crank radius is good or bad.
Yeah, you can see it right from here. Very nice radius. And you
That
can
is
see-
the strength of the crank on
Yeah.
any crank, anybody's crank.
Yeah, you can see it like 10 feet away.
Yeah.
Okay.
And a lot of times you can. Ron used to get fooled because he was trying to find people before we bought our own grinder, and it's just a lot of these guys do what they call blending it, but you still see when I do this, I measure the radius with a radius gauge, and then I take that gauge when I'm dressing my wheel. I think I get it where I want. I stop it and I see how it fits.
Right.
So I match the radius to what's already on the crank.
Right.
And I touch both sides to make that, it comes up the wall.
Mm-hmm.
You can see up where
Yeah.
it comes up the wall.
Right.
Sometimes it goes higher than others.
Right.
But what I'm doing is I'm accentuating the radius that's already there. I'm not chopping it out. I'm just making it smoother.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And then you see one like this. When you can actually feel that with your fingernail, you're in trouble.
Okay.
Because like I said, that's the strength.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I wonder if it'll handle 100 horsepower without.
And it may run forever that way, but
Mm-hmm. Well, we may not have any choice. May not be any others out there to locate.
that could be the thing in finding one that's grindable.
Yeah. Exactly.
There's a chance to finding one that's not been ground or slim and nice, like finding a Model A crank that nobody's butchered yet.
Right. Right. It'd be a wonder if we could.
But see, and that's what we have to do to them, because the way that Babbitt rod moved around on there, one side would have a radius, and the other side it would be knocked out because the Babbitt would get in there and chew it up. And
Yeah.
a lot of times you got a crank that's never been ground, and we'd have to take it to 30 just to make sure that there was a decent radius in there because we know these guys are going to run the crap out of them.
Yeah.
Plus, it's not the little 3-inch stroke like these things got. They're 4 1/4-inch strokes.
Right.
And we're back to strength, and
lot of torque.
that's the strength all the way.
Yeah. Yeah. These are more high revving than torquing. Okay.
Yeah, they just they have more compression, I'm sure, than their old Model A cranks.
Oh yeah, these are 8.5 and almost 9 to 1.
So they get more abuse.
Yeah, yeah. Well,
They got big journals and they've got a big overlap, but still.
well, this is all diesel.
Yeah.
This is a diesel part number.
Yeah.
It's very very overbuilt.
Well, that would be the only thing that would save it with no radius in it, is being a strong crank.
That's-
And again, the overlap from the journals.
Yeah. Yeah.
But I would say if you can find another one, that would be the way to go. At least something that hasn't been camouflaged, because we don't know what's underneath the chrome.
Right. That's the problem.
So yeah, by the time you grind all the chrome off to see what's there, you may not have a crank left.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because if it had a decent radius in it, it would show up here, and you can see where they quit grinding here and on the side. I mean, you can see the step in
Right,
it, and you
yeah.
can feel it.
Oh yeah. You can see it right here. That line right there.
I mean, if I grind that crank there twice more, it's still going to have a radius like that in it, because I'm going to measure it and put it back
Yeah.
as close as I can. That's not perfect. Nothing's a direct
Yeah. But,
science, but
yeah. It'll do the
that
trick.
one will last longer than that one.
Yes. Okay. All right.